Hello everybody and welcome to the Media Cub Mini Reporter Newsroom. Today we are interviewing media manager and former political journalist, James Illingworth. Welcome James, we can't wait to ask you a load of questions. So we are going to be starting with Freya.
What made you go into journaling?
I wanted to be a sports journalist when I was your age. I used to write the match reports for when all the teams that I used to play for when at school and the clubs that I used to play for. I used to note down all the results, the teams we played, and then started doing little match reports. And I ended up just staying in news journalism in the end. But I still love sports, and I think maybe one day I could go back to doing a bit of sports journalism. But that was my way in.
Where were you born and where do you live now?
So I was born in Ormskirk, which is in West Lancashire, and I now live very close by on the outskirts of Ormskirk still, but have lived in different places in between that. I've kind of come back to my hometown. In the past, I've lived in Durham. I've spent a bit of time in London. I spent a little bit of time in Sydney in Australia. But I've come back to my roots in Ormskirk.
What does a media manager do?
That's a really good question. So I work for Wigan Council. I manage the media team, as you can imagine, with a council that does. I think we provide over 700 services for our residents, and so my team helps promote all the good things that the council does and make sure that residents are aware of the services that the council provides, and we make sure that they're getting any help that they need, or we're fitting in with all the brilliant community groups across Wigan Borough. And just communicating all the good stuff that they're doing as well.
What do you enjoy most about your job and why?
The thing I enjoy most about my job at the moment is pretty similar to what I enjoyed about my job when I was a journalist, was that although most of my day is kind of mapped out, it always changes. And especially when I was a journalist, you go into the office in the morning and what you're expecting to do, it never pans out like that. There's always, obviously with breaking news, like things change and you're always having to react to different circumstances. And that's like my job now as well. There's lots of different challenges, but then there's always just amazing things that pop up. And I really like that variety and almost that, it takes you by surprise and you're having to learn new things all the time.
So first of all, why is journalism so important to affect everyone?
Now that's a big question, isn't it? So this I believe really strongly in this, and I think this is one of the things that really pushed me to want to become a news journalist. Is I think reporters serve such an important purpose in the world, in the way that things work, the way that they hold people to account, I think is really important, because if there wasn't reporters and the media, there would be nobody asking those questions.
What are the positives and negatives you come across in day-to-day life? Not necessarily your job, but
seeing all the things that a council does is really opened my eyes when I started working for the council. As I say, providing hundreds and hundreds of different services, probably a lot more than you would think of, because I think, and I was the same as everybody else, you kind of think of like they do the bins and they fill potholes and things like that. So the positive that I see in my day-to-day life is learning all the new things that a council provides, and and the impact that they can have on our residents. I'm opening a big topic here, but I do sometimes get a little bit down with how people conduct themselves on social media on occasion.
You're not a social media fan.
I know. So I'm a fan, and I really enjoy it, and I'm old enough that I can remember when most of the social media started coming in, and how they started, and almost how they've progressed now. And yeah, sometimes I think it's tough sometimes out there on social media, and I think people could be a bit better behaved.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you could interview anybody, dead or alive, who would it be, and why?
My dad was a history teacher, and I've always loved history, so I think it's going to have to be a historical figure. And I think I'm a bit of a I like reading books about the Romans, and so I think it'd be someone like Julius Caesar. I think would be a decent interview. I think he'd have a lot to say, I think.
Who is the best person you have ever interviewed?
Best person I've ever interviewed. Well, do you know, you just reminded me then when you said about Mayor Burnham, was it? I thought a question like this might come up. So one of the coolest things I did when I was a reporter was I did a skydive with the Andy Burnham. So yeah, that was a good experience. So do you want? I should probably fill in some context there, shouldn't I? So yeah, it was when I was working for Wigan, the Wigan Post, Wigan Today, and Andy Burnham was one of the local MPs when he was MP for Lee, and a local charity, just asked us to do it. It was a fundraising event, to do a skydive, and they asked Andy to support it as the MP, and separately, someone from the paper to do it as well. So I got to jump out of a Red Devils aeroplane. A tandem skydive, and then I didn't interview Andy on the way down because that would have been a bit difficult, but interviewed him obviously once we were safe on the ground.
Thank you all very much for watching. Thank you very much, James, for joining us. Thank you very much, media reporters, such great questions, and we'll see you all next time.